I've been fortunate to do some work with Nick Faldo. We did some little podcast stuff with him with Performance Golf. Yeah, and so we get to pick his brain a lot. And I was talking to him 2 days ago about this, and he said when he would go to majors, he knew there was only maybe 5 to 10 guys that really had a chance to win, and the rest were kind of just there. And I was like, what is that? Like, how do you get that? Are you born with that? Do you learn it? And he said when he would get in those pressure moments, he would get excited and look forward to it and want to show off. He said a lot of guys get to those moments and they get scared, fearful, and afraid. And I thought that context was kind of pretty good there, where I'm like, you know what? I think that's correct.
Did I tell you about my Albatross? Hey, yo, here we go. Come on.
Welcome to another episode of Did I Tell You About My Albatross? I'm your host, Albi. This is the golf podcast for honest degenerates. It's like teaming up with your favorite foursome every week and diving into the best stories in and around golf. You guys ready to tee off? Let's go!
We out here chilling on the right side of the green. Sip a little something and we
Welcome to another edition of Did I Tell You About My Albatross? I'm your host, Albi, and boy, do we have it going for you today. I've got Eric Cogorno with ericcogornogolf.com. And Eric, do you mind if I just introduce you by sharing some stats with my audience? Okay. All right. You've taught over 35,000 in-person lessons. I've got here you've taught over 200,000 golfers online. You've been named one of Golf Digest's best young teachers in 2023. Golf Digest has also named you the best teacher in the state of Pennsylvania. I love this, by the way. You pioneered the reverse slice sequence. You've been featured in Forbes. And really, talking about golf publications, you're everywhere. You've partnered with some of the greatest golf minds in the world, including Sir Nick Faldo. I've seen you with Ledbetter, you name it. You have over 79 million views since 2017. 79 million. It's insane. You have a new channel that's going to make everyone a better person. It's called Lessons I've Learned with Eric Cogorno. You have over 300,000 subscribers on your golf YouTube channel, Eric Cogorno Golf. First of all, Eric, welcome to the show. But do I have all of that right?
I think that all sounds correct, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, well, no, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on here. You've actually been someone, you don't even really know this, but you've actually been someone that, I subscribe to for quite some time now. I've learned a lot from you. And you have a gift. And so Eric, just so you know, man, I'm a 4 to 5 handicap. I've taken lessons from probably, maybe 50 or so instructors. And I've landed with one of my co-hosts actually on the podcast. He's a PGA teaching pro, and he was really upset that he couldn't join us today. But he's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, he's great. But man, you have a special gift in the fact that you're able to pass along a particular lesson in a very digestible and very applicable way. Like, a lot of times I'll go through these lessons with different instructors, and they're all great in their own right. But the one thing that I think is very, very difficult is to be able to actually, translate what they're actually saying in something that's digestible, something that's applicable, and something that you can actually start using right away. And I feel like you're a pro at that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And, there's obviously, before we started doing videos, I spent my first 10 years trying to get really great at coaching. And one of the things, man, I learned early on was to be a really effective coach, you have to be great at communicating with the person in front of you. You got to be able to distill, the golf swing is remarkably complicated, but at the same time, beautifully simple, right? Which is kind of like a weird dynamic. Yeah. And when you're coaching someone to be a great coach, you've got to be able to communicate with the human in front of you really, really well. And I think what served me well was I studied a lot of communication and worked on that just for my one-on-one lessons for 10 years before we started saying, hey, let's start doing some YouTube videos. And so it was sort of a natural transition to being on camera for me and trying to basically communicate what I would communicate to one person in front of me to the masses. And how do you take that lesson and make it fairly applicable for everyone? So I appreciate that. And that's something that was definitely a learned skill for me.
Yeah, well, I think it's one that's really important that you focused on that, because I think it is a differentiator for you. And I know one of the reasons that you're here today is because, you're launching this new YouTube channel, which I'm fascinated by. It's something that, with the podcast and everything that we've been doing, obviously it's more golf focused, but really, maybe it makes sense. All my listeners can tune out. They've heard this story on just about every episode. So let me just explain to you, Eric, how this podcast came about and why I was so excited to bring you on, because I think it does relate to this new channel that you're launching. So really, and by the way, I love telling the story. So the year's 2020.
Let it rip.
Member golf tournament. My buddy and I, final hole, 2-day tournament, final hole. It was a par 5. We call it Pine One. So we actually ended the tournament on the first hole. It was a shotgun tournament. Anyway, so we tee off, or I tee off, hit a really good drive, and I was 247 out, 3-wood, it goes in. Now that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is that we had 2 buddies that were waiting for us to finish, so they were actually at the hole. We go over there and I start looking for this ball, and one of my buddies, Nick, he goes, "Hey man, did you hit a good shot?" And I was like, "Oh, that's probably one of the best 3-woods I've ever hit." He was like, "Yeah. It went way over the green, man. It's somewhere over there." So I start looking for this thing, can't find it anywhere. Finally, I'm like, "Dude, where's this ball?" And he said it went in the hole. And so I'm like, all right, great. So we lose our mind. We go inside. We turn our scorecard in. And Eric, this is where things just get like bonkers. They're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, going into that last hole, you were 3 shots back of the lead. So with that Albatross, you ended up tying for the win of the tournament." And I mean, we were doing a Calcutta at our club, so we won like a couple $1,000. Like it was, dude. I thought I was gonna be famous. I thought I was gonna have your following by now. I thought immediately I was gonna but no one cares about my golf shot. Like no one cares. My wife's sick of me talking about it. My friends too. So I'm like, I'm gonna start a podcast and I'm gonna tell the whole world about it until Scott Van Pelt and I are doing what you and I are doing right now, and I'm on Sports Center. So that's the whole premise. But really, the whole reason I bring that up, Eric, is because this new channel that you're bringing to market, which I love. And correct me if I'm wrong, keep me in the guardrails here, but it's really more along the lines of like personal development, the mental side of things. And what that one shot taught me, I mean, yeah, it's a lucky shot. I get that. But dude, I've started living my whole entire life a lot differently. Like now I kind of think that like really anything's kind of possible. Like even though that the odds of that, which by the way, I have the odds. I hired a data scientist to figure out what the odds are to be in that predicament, to hit an Albatross, to tie for the win of the tournament. He came back with 1 in 600 million. And like because of that, I'm like, now like anything's possible. Like no matter what, like as long as you just think that anything's possible, then you have a much better chance of realizing whatever it is that you're going after. And so that's why when I saw this new channel, I was really excited and I started digging into it. Man, I really think you're onto something. So that's why I was excited to have you on here.
What a story, dude! Isn't it amazing too? Like you before that shot. And you after that shot were essentially the same human in terms of like your skills, what you're able to do, your network connection, but just a mindset shift, right? Could completely change your life.
Totally.
And that is what that new channel is about, man. Like for me with golf, like, golf coaching is like our main shtick. I felt like I coached golf, played golf, learned enough where I'm like, hey, let me share. I think I can really help people. And I coached, spent 10 years trying to get great at coaching before we did that. Once we launched this channel and I got really into personal development and improved myself in my life, I spent the past 8 years now really studying personal development, improving my own life, testing things out of myself to where now I feel just like I did day one in golf, like, hey, I know enough now where I feel comfortable being able to share with other people. And so just like I share lessons of golf, this is just, when we put out a video, it's just more of like, hey, maybe this will help you. This is what I've learned. I want to do the same thing with those sort of videos for those that are interested in improving themselves beyond just the golf. Love it, man. I love it. And then to take that skill that we were talking about earlier and being able to, to really apply your teaching style to it. I mean, I think it's going to be really valuable for, really for everyone, not just golfers. That's why I'm really excited for it. And my family, I come from a family that is, they're really big into personal development. It wasn't taboo. It wasn't like, it was actually encouraged, like growing up and everything. And so, but this golf stuff that I talk about, I've had a lot of guests on and they're, don't get me wrong. They love it. And I have friends that, tune into the podcast just because they're my friends. But, like people like that maybe aren't like golf fanatics will actually be able to get, something from it because again, it's that teaching style that I think differentiates you. Eric, I got a favor to ask. Like, can you just kind of maybe share with me your journey, like from a golf perspective? Can you maybe, first of all, this whole concept of being scratched by age 15 is just incredible. But maybe just share with me, like, what your journey and how you became one of the top online teaching pros. Yeah, sure, man. So like, I grew up playing all kinds of different sports, baseball, basketball, football, golf. I didn't start golfing until I was probably like 12, 13-ish.
Wow.
But I played baseball and basketball my whole life. And I think like a lot of us, like I was a good baseball player, which in my mind meant like, oh, I'm going to be the Major League Baseball
Right.
player. And you quickly realize that like, okay, you're not as good as you think you are. So I started golfing in middle school because my dad played on the weekends with his friends, with his buddies. And I looked up to my dad, I think like a lot of young boys do when you're growing up. And so I just wanted to hang out with my dad and his friends. And that's kind of how I got into the golfing. And I would never forget, he got me this little set of clubs. It was like a pitching wedge. And I was probably in like, it's probably 6th grade at this point. And I'm think of myself as a good athlete at this time, right? For context.
Right.
And I take the pitching wedge, drop a ball down in the backyard. We had like an acre and a half. And I hit a ball, my first swing, pured it. Like couldn't have hit the ball any better like that. And then every other shot I hit was like a shank, duff, high, left, low, right that day. And it drove me nuts. I was like, gosh, I can do whatever I want with a ball and bat and, whatever. But I really had a hard time hitting that freaking ball that was just sitting there.
Right.
And so, I think out of wanting to hang out with my dad and his friends and just the obsession of why am I not good at this right away, from like, let's say 6th grade when I'm like, hey, I'm going to start golfing. I'm playing all these other sports. By like the end of 7th grade, 8th grade, I'm like, I'm going to quit everything else and just do this, just golf. And so, yeah, man, I went from just kind of playing to like, by the time I was 15, 9th into 9th, 10th grade was like scratch, started shooting around par, under par in some local tournaments. And then I went from thinking I was going to be a pro baseball player to like, hey, I'm going to play on the PGA Tour, which again, you quickly realize it's not. There's a lot of kids out there who are really good. So, by 9th grade, I'm gonna be a PGA Tour player. By like 11th or 12th grade, I'm like, oh, that's probably not going to happen. I still like the golf. How can I utilize this to, get in a good college and et cetera? So I went and played at a small school in Pennsylvania called Lehigh. Played there for a little bit. And so for context, this is 2008-ish, my like freshman year, when everything happens with the economy. So I'm going into Lehigh. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to play golf. I'll do finance, kind of go work Wall Street, whatever. All these kids that were in my recruiting class that were recruiting me the year before, they were getting these MBAs from Lehigh and getting like 6-figure jobs out of school. And then a couple months later, right, the economy obviously goes way down. These same kids who just went to school for 6 years, had all this debt from school, can't get a job anymore.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, hey, maybe I got to pivot a little. And at this time, and this is us getting into golf coaching here in a moment. At this time, I'm working at a local golf course, Bethlehem Golf Club, picking balls in the range, and I'm making minimum wage, maybe $6-7 an hour type of thing.
Right.
And I'll never forget, this was August, and it was hot out, and I'm picking balls on the range, and our range is bumpy. So, I mean, I'm bumping up and down. I'm sweating. I'm like maybe hungover. I remember not feeling great, right? I'm like pissed off about doing this thing. And I drove the picker on the side of the range where the teaching area was. And there was a guy there, he was one of my best friends named Paul Viola. I saw him as I was picking balls, giving this lesson to this old guy. They hit maybe like 10 balls. This guy's just butting little shots out there. And it looked very easy. He's under the shade, breezy, whatever. I'm out there sweating. So I pull up. And he made an offhand comment that he just got paid $50 for a 30-minute lesson.
Right.
Not like braggy. I don't remember what it, but I remember him saying that. And like a light bulb went off in my mind that was like, I've got to work 8 hours picking balls to make $50. You're telling me you just made $50 in 30 minutes getting this guy to hit a ball? I could do that, right? And so that's how my coaching started. Like I loved this. I had this passion. I wanted to help people, yada, yada. But it was really financially. I'm like, hey, I could make a lot more money coaching than I could picking balls. And the same thing happened, dude, where when I first started coaching, things for me typically were coming pretty easy. I was good at school, sports, whatever. I gave my first couple of golf lessons and I was really bad, like anyone is. But the lessons went really poorly. And just like when I had that first pitching wedge where I'm like, okay, why is this so difficult? It like made me obsessed. The same thing happened with the coaching where I was like, damn, I'm like not good at this. Like I'm giving really bad lessons. And that was like started a 10-year journey of me being obsessed with getting better at the coaching. And that's how we led up to, then to fast forward from there, I'm spending a lot of time doing in-person coaching. This happened like 18, 19 years old. by the time I'm like 26, 20, well, almost 10 years. So 18. So I'm probably 28 years old. I'm teaching like 6 days a week. I'm out there in the sun. I feel like I'm back in this pick and balls thing. I'm grinding out in the sun. I was like 27 and like burnt out.
Yeah.
Like tired, And so I'm thinking, gosh, I can't, man, if I'm like 56 years old, I can't be out here, doing this forever. So that's when I started. That's when the whole thing started. Like, okay, let's start doing some videos. How do I grow our audience? I saw like Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm watching these videos about monetizing online. And that's where then the YouTube idea came from.
Yeah, because so what year was that? That was you're saying that was 2016. Okay,
16, 17.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, man, I probably started following you not too long after that. I think because my buddy here, we're members here at a club here in Tampa, and he was a huge fan. He took, I think, I'm not sure. I guess whatever one of the first offerings you had that was a subscription based. He was like, you got to check this guy out. I hopped on board. And we both took lessons. I mean, we've been following you guys for, however long that is. What do you think the difference is? Like and it's interesting because I had Matt Sharf on, right? Because he's got these 2 Albatrosses that were filmed and recorded and everything. And it's just insane. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It changed things for him. And he was running down the chorus, completely losing his mind because of the joy that, he had. And I know that feeling, but I was talking to him a little bit about his journey and similar, he started at a time where they just really wanted to, they love golf. They really wanted to start documenting it. They came up with these crazy, different challenges that, like playing golf with a frying pan, like they're doing weird things. And it somehow, but I think the timing was right. And obviously look where these guys are now. It's just unbelievable. I think also too, the fact that it was before COVID. So it was also a perfect transition, and you were set up perfectly for COVID when everything actually did convert to online. I'm in sales for my 9-to-5 job, and I do a lot of customer meetings on site and everything. But man, has that even shifted? And it really hasn't shifted back. Like we primarily now do online meetings, and it's all it's all virtual. And I feel like you guys were set for that from day one. So how did COVID? Did it just actually increase things for you, or how did that work?
Yeah, it's interesting, dude. We had a side note thing. I had an Albatross too when I was in high school.
Oh, no way. Tell me about that.
I'm part of that. Yeah, I had made a 2 on a par 5, driver 3-iron, hole number 2 at my home course at Bethlehem.
Wow.
1 hop, boom in the hole. I actually birdied 1, double eagled 2, birdied 3.
Wow, that's quite the start.
And then I got so uncomfortable, and then shit the bed the rest of the way in. But yeah, anyway, so we put our first video up January 1st, 2017
Okay.
was our first YouTube video.
Okay.
So we talk about this. It's interesting. When we first started, when I was doing the online or in-person coaching, let's say 08, 07, 08 into 2016, 2017, there wasn't that many people doing videos that had like membership sites, and there was maybe 3 or 4 good ones.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow.
So the market was very small, right? And so in 2017, 18, 19, 20s, we were building up. We started gaining a lot of market share in terms of the online coaching. So on a positive note, COVID was good because people were home. They were more open online coaching. So that helped some. But there went from the competition went from there was 5 of us to there's 500, golf coaches doing online coaching. So I'm not sure, looking back upon it now, I think it sort of, the competition rose so much that I think it sort of evened itself out. It'd be interesting if that didn't happen, where we would be. But certainly with the people, people getting nets at home and practice mats at home and being more open to online coaching. We just had our best YouTube year ever this past year, 2023. Yeah. So we had our best year in terms of performance across the board. So we're still, growing every year, which is good. But the COVID thing's interesting because everyone does online coaching now.
Yeah.
So, there was far less when we started.
When you get these one-on-one lessons online, I don't really think you lose much from the teacher being there. I guess there is sort of a lag in the sense that you don't get that instant feedback. You don't get that, but now there's even live, you can even do, live variations where you can actually, stream it. I guess first of all, do you guys do that? Is that an offering that you have right now where you can stream, or is it still just hey, record a video and then I'll tweak it?
It's still like 80% record a video and I'll tweak it. We do some of the streaming stuff. And it's like, listen, there's nothing as good as in person.
Yeah.
I mean, any sort of online thing, it might be 80% is good, 90% is good. But it's also like wildly more affordable, right?
Totally.
Like our offerings online start at $79. If you even want to think about coming to see, in person, we're talking $350 for an hour, $1,500 for a couple hour type of thing. So it's like, the bang for your buck with online coaching is very good. And I think, I've honestly, man, through doing the videos and the analysis and sending back a plan, I've found that the effectiveness is about the same as even if I was with them in person. Or if you're, or even if you're like, you're doing the live, like a FaceTime or something.
Yep.
The benefit of doing the live FaceTime is you can get them to exaggerate more faster. So you might be like, hey, I know I'm supposed to do X move. But then when you're doing it, you're like, oh, that's not enough. Do more instead of waiting a week, 3 weeks, a month. So from that perspective, like if I'm in person with you, the benefit is there's no stones left unturned and you're going to get the full, this is how far I got to go. If you're by yourself, which 98% of your practice, you're going to be by yourself, in between sessions and stuff.
Right.
It's like being very clear on this is what we're doing. This is how much. This is how I know if I've done it correctly or not.
Right.
Like really going through those pieces. But like anything else, dude, let's say we do 1,000 online lessons a month. It's like you do 1,000 of anything a month, you get really good at knowing how to do it regardless of the format.
Yeah, or the person, I guess, too. You said something really important there, I think, that I always forget about. It's this exaggeration. Like my buddy, his name's Lakin. We call him Panda just because he's got an amazing head cover that's a panda. But he always says the same thing. He's like, he'll get me in these weird. It's so crazy. This is the thing that blows my mind with golf and like just golf instruction. It's like he'll get me in these really weird positions where like, I think. Like, I'll even think that I'm like, that is, and it's exaggeration. Like what he's trying to do is get me to exaggerate that particular, whatever he wants me to do. And then I'll look at my swing and it'll just feel, it'll look almost identical to me just swinging like I always do. I'll be like, this is so weird. This looks totally weird. And then I'll look at the video and it's like, you can't even really tell. It's just, it blows my mind. But is exaggeration, in your opinion, is that how you get your students to really do, like I guess, pick up that feeling or pick up what you're trying to teach them?
Oh, there's no other way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no other way. Yeah, you're better off just accepting what you just said as is.
Okay.
And just going in with like, that's the expectation. And then, because I still get the same thing, dude. When I look at my swing and feel something, it looks completely different than what I feel is going on. But I know it going in, so it emotionally doesn't throw me off. Like I know this is to come. And what's really key, you said, is that you look at the video where people really struggle.
Yeah.
Like because I go get a lot of lessons too, just to make sure I'm on the other side
cool.
and I know what that feels like. And like, if you're feeling those things, this is for someone listening. If you're feeling those things and they feel weird and different, and you don't have immediate video confirmation where you can look at it from yourself or your coach, you are in for a roller coaster ride.
Really?
So most players come too far over the top, the face is open. So they need to feel like they swing so far from inside, it's unbelievable. And probably that the club face is so crazy closed. And how do you know that you've exaggerated enough is what the ball did.
Oh, wow.
So like, let's go back to your example. Hey, I'm swinging too far inside out. The face is too closed. Now there'd be reasons why you might figure out earlier on. You're like extend too much. You don't rotate enough. You release too early, whatever. So you want to find root causes. But if you swing in now and the face is too close, and let's say you got to neutralize your path, you might need to feel like you're swinging wildly over the top.
Right.
Like, I can't even believe that I can even hit a ball from there. But then what did the ball do? If the ball flew straight, right, let's just say you did it correctly, then by definition, that amount of holy shit is correct today, right? Now, a month from now, you might feel that same holy cow and the ball starts fading a little bit. You did too much.
Yeah.
If the ball's still hooking, you didn't do it enough. And so what I try and do with students is like, let's just unemotionally accept that. That's just what it is, right? We're stepping on the scale. This is how much we weigh. This is where we are. And then you can get into doing get the changes going quicker. It's not easy, but it's straightforward.
So Eric, I've asked Matt. I've had a couple other professional golfers on here. Here's the thing that blows my mind with golf. The amount, like, okay, somehow, which by the way, you started golf. We said when you were 12 or 13, and you came scratched by 15 is just amazing to me. That's determination, man. That's how much you love your dad, I guess, is because you just wanted to figure out a way you could hang out with him more, which I love. But I mean, the amount of difference between, and we've got some amazing players at our club. We've got this one guy right now. His name's Brandon. Shout out to Brandon. He plays on the Canadian tour. Dude, this guy is like a +6, I think. He's a +6. And he's right there. I mean, right there. He is by far like one of the best ball strikers I've ever seen. We've got another buddy that's a friend of the show. He played on the Korn Ferry tour for years, and he's probably the second best ball striker I've ever seen in my life. But dude, you take someone like that, and then the fact that like my buddy on the Korn Ferry tour, he's got a family now, and he actually he's an instructor, so he teaches now. And he's like, dude, I just didn't want to do the grind anymore. I'm over it. Like I would rather help people and work. I'd still want to be around golf and everything, but like the fact that he, and I don't know, maybe he is still trying, but the fact that he didn't make it, and so far is just mind-boggling to me, because the difference between someone like them and then someone on the PGA Tour, like a card-carrying pro. And then you have another layer of like the top 10 or like the top 15, top 20. Dude, it is just mind-boggling to me. And like, do you think, and I've asked all of them this, but like, what do you think is the main difference? Because all of those guys are incredible ball strikers. They all understand how to hit the ball. But like, what is the difference between that extra layer of, extra couple layers, I guess, of talent?
Yeah, I think there's two ways to answer that. Let's say like one of them is like physical skills. So like guys that play elite college to pro to et cetera, there can be some level where you actually look at stats like they actually hit the ball better, they chip and putt better, they get their wedges closer to the hole. Like there can be some actual tactical things. But let's say we're talking about guys who kind of all hit it the same. Some guys get the Korn Ferry, some guys get the PJ, some guys win majors. I've been fortunate to do some work with Nick Faldo. We did some little podcast stuff with him with Performance Golf. Yeah, and so we get to pick his brain a lot. And I was talking to him 2 days ago about this, and he said when he would go to majors, he knew there was only maybe 5 to 10 guys that really had a chance to win, and the rest were kind of just there. And I was like, what is that? Like, how do you get that? Are you born with that? Do you learn it? And he said when he would get in those pressure moments, he would get excited and look forward to it and want to show off. He said a lot of guys get to those moments and they get scared, fearful, and afraid. And I thought that context was kind of pretty good there, where I'm like, you know what? I think that's correct. I think some of those guys that get to that high level, let's say we watch them hit 5 irons, they hit it about the same. They chip it about the same. They putt it about the same. They could go out with their buddies and shoot 64 about the same. But when you're at a tournament and the bright lights are on and there's people in the crowd and you got to make the cut for a paycheck, some people rise up and some people don't. And that's usually not because of your swing mechanics. A lot of people want to blame it on swing mechanics. If I just improved my swing a little bit, I'd do better in that scenario. I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. That's why, like a lot of us, like if we go common amateur problem to answer the same question, Eric, when I go out in the range, I hit it really good. But when I go on the course, not as good. Man, when I play with my buddy and I have a drink or two, I shoot this. But then I go play in the tournament that I care about and I shot 10 shots higher, right? What happened? So it's a lot of the same. That ain't because of your swing, pal.
Yeah.
That ain't swing mechanics, right? That same swing worked really good in the range. What happened is there was consequences. You cared more. You were fearful of a different outcome. And you're not in that environment enough. Like a lot, this always cracks me up. Okay, hey Eric, I play good with my buddies, but I play in this tournament twice a year, and I never play as well. I say, you just remind me, how often do you play with your buddies? Twice a week, all year? Okay, so you play 100 rounds with your buddies per year, and you play in 2 tournament rounds. Like, which one do you think is going to go better?
Totally. Yep.
Okay, the thing you do more often. So part of that too with those guys is like getting in the environment enough, learning how to embrace it and feel excited about it and get to show off. Like Wyndham Clark has been talking about with his mental coach. He talks about it's not all mindset, but it's a lot of it.
Well, I love that. I've actually never heard anyone say it that way, show off, because I think that also, that kind of ties into the confidence and just believing, like having this like almost like obscene, confidence in yourself. And maybe, a lot of these guys are kind of quiet about it. Some guys are braggadocious and but like I did talk to, my Korn Ferry buddy, like in depth about it. And he was saying that, you meet like most of the guys on the Korn Ferry tour, or even the Korn Ferry tour, right? Or, probably even more so on the PJ tour. They have just this like incredible amount of confidence that, that they don't even really maybe show on the outside, but they're cocky dudes. Like they're typically very cocky because you almost have to like have a delusional type of self-confidence. I kind of do that. All right. So I kind of do that on a different level, Eric. The one thing I've got going for me is my 60 degree. I've become, they call me Magellan at our club because I can get up and down, but dude, it's because my irons, I've been put in the situation where I need to get up and down so often because I can't hit the green that I've become pretty good with my wedge, but different type of confidence, I guess. But I love that, man. It's a really interesting way to put it.
Yeah, and that goes to show, like, even though you're saying jokingly, it's like you got really good at chipping because you had to do it a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, for those that are listening, right, if you want to play better in this member tournament or whatever once or twice per year, you got to play in a bunch more tournaments leading up to that. That's got to be your normal. The normal's got to be the tournament. I could do a speech all day long in front of a mirror, but as soon as I step on stage in front of 10,000 people, way different. How do you get better at that? You got to step on stage more often, right? You got to put yourself in the environment more, no doubt.
Yeah. All right, I'm a big swing aid guy. What do you think? I mean, I've literally, I could point to, I could probably show 5 right here. I've counted, Eric. I've got 36 of these things. I'm going to do a segment where my co-host and we're going to be breaking down all the swing aids and we're going to be rating them and reviewing. Obviously, I would think that the swing aids are probably good for certain people and certain, other ones not. I think probably different strokes for different folks. But I mean, is there something that you think could benefit, like to all the listeners out there? Is there just something that maybe has worked for a lot of your students that, maybe more so than others?
Yeah, it's a good question. So like, we've had this is our 8th year of the channel. Yep. I probably personally tested, without exaggerating, maybe between 100 and 200 training aids, realistically. Wow. And so I get sent training aids all the time, right? People are like, hey, try this. What do you think? You want to promote it? And we promoted 4 in 8 years out of 100 or 200.
Interesting.
So I don't, I think there's like certain things for certain people, that are pretty good. I get a lot done with a lot of people with like an alignment rod and a pool noodle or like a range bucket. So the 4 things we promoted, to give you an idea, I mean, the hanger, the wrist hanger.
Yeah, got that one. Yep.
The thing that goes on.
That works great.
I think for certain people who need that, I think that's really effective. We promoted the precision impact, the thing you snap back with the right wrist.
Yep, seen that one. Yep. It clicks, right?
I like that. It clicks, and this one holds you in it.
Oh, okay.
Which I like. Yeah, it keeps you back in there like that. We did one other with performance golf, and then we have. So I just got done testing. Did you see the thing with David Ledbetter, the straightaway?
Yes, I've got that one.
The little line on it. So, I go into all those things extremely skeptical.
Okay.
I think there's like a literally 1 in 20, 30 chance that I'm going to like the thing, but I like that.
Okay.
Now it's another one where I'm like, I don't know that it's for everyone, but if someone struggles with the takeaway, getting way under plane or way out, the little visual that thing gives on you, that gives you the takeaway. So we're going to do some videos on that. That's top of mind for me. Here's what I would say. This isn't the training aid, but like, 8 out of 10 golfers, you could probably make a really big improvement if you could, when you take your setup, draw a line up the shaft, like a swing plane line, and just learn to keep your club on that line. If you watch really good ball strikers, and I'm talking only from takeaway to about hip high on the way back, and then from about hip high on the way down in impact. If you look at any ball strikers, you're like, this could be a challenge for you guys. Go on YouTube and look at it. And even just use your finger or a little line on their club head. From hip high into the ball and from setup to hip high, and you look at enough swings, the top 100 ball strikers, 95 of them would have that thing riding almost right on that into the golf ball. Getting the club on plane, however you do that. Like for you that hits hooks, you're probably almost too far under for sure. Into the ball, you're probably too far under. And so getting the club on plane, whether you're a slicer and you're over it, you got to learn how to feel under it. Or for you, if you're a hooker, you're under it, you got to feel over it. That solves a lot of problems. If you can combine that with learning how to get the face, square to the path, which is a loaded suggestion because there's a lot of ways to do that. Yeah, I would say the one takeaway would be like figure out a way to get the club on plane. If there's a one sentence takeaway
Love
here.
it.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, yeah, most of them are snake oil. I mean, and I'm just a sucker for them. We had these one guys. By the way, I would love to get your opinion on this too. So I had these lawn drive guys on, and they compete competitively in the lawn drive stuff. And by the way, one of the guys, shout out this guy Sam. He's got, Eric, this blew my mind. He is one of like maybe 4 or 5 people on the planet that people know about that has a ball speed of over 240 miles per hour. It's just crazy. I mean, dude, these guys, listen to this. They crack, like this is a problem for them. They actually have to they crack between 4 and 6 golf balls every range session, crack them. And I mean, they're like, we have to think about it because especially if they're hitting into their net at home, they're like, we have to get special balls because we don't want to break our face on our club, but we also don't want to go through a bunch of they're not getting balls for anyway. It's just crazy. So I was talking to them, they came out with swing aid and it's a speed training. It's a speed training aid. But I guess my point is that, I'm a tech guy, right? So I think that technology and just golf instruction moving forward is going to be so cool to watch. So, I think that, a couple last questions here before, and I'll get you on out of here. All right, I ask everyone these 2 silly questions, Eric. These are not really golf related questions, but I ask everyone just because I like silly, and these are certainly silly. So, can a human being, Eric, eat a golf ball and survive?
Man, I feel like it'd be hard to swallow a golf ball, huh? Could a human being eat a golf ball? Could they swallow a ball, have it live in their body, and survive? I would say yes. I think human beings are resilient. Okay.
All right. Cool. By the way, I don't have an answer to any of these. I just like collecting.
Oh, okay.
It's the worst. These are the worst because everyone's waiting for the answer, and I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you take someone like Shaquille O'Neal, a big dude. I'm imagining he can probably get it down. But the whole reason this came up is because after a certain number of subscribers, I don't even know the number, but my co-host was like, all right. I told him, I'm like, if we get a certain number of subscribers, I can do this full time. I'm not going to tell the Albatross story anymore. And he was like, there is 0 chance. And if you do, you have to eat this golf ball. And so anyway, and I'm like, are you trying to kill me? Because I think it would, I don't know. I go back and forth. Anyway, that's how that question came up. So then the second question.
If you could get it down, I think
I agree. I think it's more of the down.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Second question, not golf related. Are there more, now think of anything alive. So anything that's alive in the world, are there more eyes or more legs in the world?
Yeah, so I mean, immediately my mind goes to there's a lot of creatures with 4 legs, right? A lot of creatures with 4 legs. There's spiders with lots of legs. There's 1,000-leggers. But I think everything only has 2 eyes. So I'm gonna, in my mind, that just clarified to me that it should be obviously legs, which makes me think, am I missing something else?
Aquatic.
Are there things with eyes with? Oh yeah. I am missing something else. And we don't even know what's in the ocean. I would say there's more. I would say there's more legs than eyes, but I'm not throwing money.
Dude, thank you so much for caring enough to actually answer that question with some thought. Yes, I'm an eyes guy. I've gone back and forth with this. I've asked everyone, and it's so great. I love these questions, Eric,
because fish out there though too. Yeah, that's
you
tough.
ask 100 people, you can get 50 one way and 50 the other, and man, people blow up about it. They get all worked up over trying to figure out and trying to debate it. So anyway, it's a fun question. Anything else before I let you run? Anything else that you want to promote, or anything that we can obviously send people to? If you want to mention your sites, and I'm going to be putting all of your all of your websites and all of your channels and stuff in the comments or in the description.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, man. I feel like I'm here to serve. Hopefully, help some people golf better, live better. Obviously, our YouTube channel, like you mentioned, will be in the Eric Cogorno Golf. You guys are into golf stuff that we share there, and a lot of little quick tips on Instagram. But the full YouTube videos, we did just start that second YouTube channel. If you're into personal development, lessons I've learned with Eric Cogorno. That's a working title, but that's how you'd search it right now. And it's cool, man. It's cool starting from day one, starting a new channel from day one, literally not having any subscribers, no views, and having to build it back up has been a cool, humbling, exciting thing to do that I think over the next 10 years we'll build up similar to the golf thing, and maybe we'll do another pod as that grows and talk more about it.
No, I'll totally look forward to it. I think, I think you're onto something, man, because these are 2 things I'm really passionate about. Obviously, golf is a huge passion of mine, but man, I think it's actually more interesting on the personal development stuff because, you know, to your point earlier in the conversation, it's like, you know, we are like who we are. It's just like a different shift in mindset can really unleash like who you really want to be or who you really want to become. And it's not that you're a different person. You're not born different. You're not like nothing really changed. It's just simply this idea of like changing the way you think about things. And that's why the Albatross, it's the whole reason I wanted to start the podcast, is because if I can just get more people, like obviously we love talking about golf, and golf's just such a great metaphor for life and how we can get to, I mean, that's what I love about it. But if I can just, even a couple or handful of people, if they can just start thinking about like, wow, like anything truly is possible. I mean, that's a great shift in the right direction. And then, you know, you can really be whoever you want to be. So I appreciate you saying that earlier. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to kind of staying all over and staying tuned to your new channel. I'm excited to see you grow it.
Likewise, man. I'm gonna keep watching the stuff that you put out, and this was cool. I'd love to come back whenever you need to fill a spot.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, Eric, thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Did I tell you about my Albatross?
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Don't miss out on our upcoming golf giveaways and experiences. They're exclusive to our subscribers, and all you got to do is subscribe. And until next time, golf's easy. Think fairways and greens.
Oh, here we go. Come on. Did I tell you about my Albatross?